Hello guys, this is Anton Andrew and I'm happy to start a series of videos about Moog Subharmonicon. I've been using the synth for many months, I did presets for it and I tried to discover its possibilities, its depth, to find some interesting sounds, timbres and so on. I experimented a lot with the patch bay, with the frequencies of the oscillators, with the sequences, maybe some frequency modulations or other sorts of modulations. And now I'm gonna share with you the results, the knowledge I got after hours and hours working with the synth. By the way, there was a discussion in Facebook about how to pronounce it correctly, Moog, Moog, and so on. In Russia we call it Moog, but as far as I know the correct variant is Moog. So I apologize in advance if I say it wrong. So the videos are gonna be first of all about some basic things but with deeper approach. Then I'm gonna show you some workflow I use to make melodies, chord progressions. I'm gonna show you the experiments with the patch bay and how I break the limits of the synth. And in general, the video is gonna have lots of tips and tricks, page ideas for your Moog. And I hope you will learn lots of new things about your favorite, your favorite synth. Okay, let's start and see what Subharmonicon can do. First, let's start with the tuning. What we're going to tune? We're going to tune the frequency of the oscillator itself, then we're going to tune the sub-oscillators, and then we're going to tune the step sequencer to create some melodies or chord progressions. I know for many of you this tuning is not a problem and actually is nothing difficult with it, but there is some small detailed information about this tuning and I want to share this information with you. First, let's start with a simple thing, just tuning the oscillator its main frequency. Make sure you don't choose this option in the middle of the VCO wave, because this is FM from sub-oscillator to main oscillator, and it may influence the final note, so choose the saw wave or square wave. Then make sure you turned off all sequencer assignments, because if it's on, it's gonna influence the position of this knob, and we may be confused of the actual note. To understand the note and the pitch we are here, I'm gonna use the tuner by Ableton Live. So you will see all the changes, all the offsets of the actual pitch and so on. At this moment you should decide what is the root note of your overall melody or chord progression is gonna be. So in most cases I use C or A. To trigger the notes I'm gonna use the button trigger. I'm not gonna push play. Also make sure you hear only oscillator 1, let's turn it up, not to be confused by the frequencies of the sub-oscillators. At first glance the question is not difficult, but let's see what we have when we choose the root note. We should choose it in combination with the quantization settings. What I mean, let's see and hear C. And here we are witnessing the two differences between the Quantize settings. Let's just jump from equal temperament to just intonation. You may see on the tuner the offset is about a couple of cents from this Quantize to this one. And this is for note C. However, this shift may be greater for other notes, not C, but all other notes. Let's see different positions of this frequency with just intonation quantization. So this is C, then B. Do you hear and see how flatter this B from its center position? Let's compare it with the equal temperament. This is much more cleaner B on equal temperament than in just intonation. Let's hear and see other notes. A is quite flat. A flat is a bit sharper. G, F sharp, F, E, E flat, D, C sharp, and C. the greatest offset is for F sharp in 2 octaves below the center position, minus 18 cents. And in equal temperament, you will not hear and see these shifts. Yes, there is some shift according to the frequency position. The lower the note, the flatter the frequency, and on the contrary, the higher the note, the sharper the frequency. This may be okay for an analog synth, maybe some problems with the calibration. Anyway, 6 or 7 cents on its high position or low position is not a big deal. So as I showed you, the most secure note is C. It's fine in both quantize settings. Other notes, you should decide to which of the quantize settings to choose, equal temperament or just intonation. You may choose, for example, for A, just intonation, but you always should keep in mind that this part from Moog is gonna cooperate with other parts from other synths, including digital ones that are clear in terms of frequencies. So in my Ableton project I have a Zebra synth. Pay your attention that voice drift is turned off. If it's on, you will hear and see each note is a bit different. Without it, they're all the same. And let's keep Zebra tuning clean to compare it with Moog. So when I press A on Moog and Zebra, you're already hearing this beating or detuning result. If we take lower notes a couple octaves down, you're hearing this beating again, and let's compare it with equal temperament. The sum of the signals is much more cleaner. So at this point, I'm not gonna say that this result is good and the tuning is bad. This choice is up to you. I just want to say that keep these things in your mind. Also, you should keep these tuning things in your mind if you use your Moog for bass parts. As most of you may know, the lower the frequencies, the greater beating result may be. And you may hear some frequencies change the amplitude up and down if your Moog plays in pair with other low frequency instruments. If you use Moog for kind of higher frequency melodies, plugs and so on, these detuning things on higher frequencies are much more safer than on lower frequencies. Okay, you have chosen your quantize settings, you want to use C note, but when you press trigger or launch your sequence, you hear that it's not actually a C, but you have a shift to higher or lower frequencies far more than I'm showing you on my tuner. This may be connected with the fact that your Moog is not calibrated. Let's see how to do this. Actually, it's covered in the manual, but in case you missed it or something else, I'll show it in my video. To enter calibration mode, you should push and hold oscillator 1 and 2 buttons until the LEDs on quantize mode are lighted like this. Then turn off these assignment buttons, not to be confused with the position of the knobs in your sequences. Then trigger note and use tempo knob for fine-tuning your oscillator. The range of the knob is about 50 cents up and 50 cents down. So you have a clean C note, everything is fine, and you should quit the calibration mode. To quit it, just push quantize knob. So these were basic things, but we always should keep them in mind when we work with the Moog.